Hello and welcome to the Niftyist podcast. This is the show where we get inside the minds of the visionaries, creators, and architects building the world of Web3 and NFTs. I'm your host, JT, aka Niftyist. I'm an NFT collector, a blogger, and a creative. I run the Niftyist account on TikTok, and you can find me all about the web. Before I introduce our incredible guest today, I do need to get through a couple disclosures and disclaimers. So first of all, the Niftyist podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing in the show should be taken as investment advice. If you do choose to purchase NFTs or crypto, do so at your own discretion after having done your own thorough research and knowing that all of crypto and NFTs involve a high degree of risk. You should also know that as an NFT collector myself, I do own several NFTs by today's guests, which means I have a financial stake in their success. I am also a moderator of their Discord. And finally, although this is not a show about crypto specifically or finance, the state of the crypto market provides important context for the NFT market. We are recording this podcast on November 10th, 2022, just a couple days after the surprise announcement that the crypto exchange FTX would try to sell itself to rival Binance, which has caused a panic in the crypto markets. At the moment, there are a lot of unknowns, but more bad news is expected to come. So by the time you listen to this, you will probably know a lot more than we do, so just keep that in mind as you listen. With all that out of the way, I'm excited to introduce our guests for today, Toomuchlag and Mauro. Toomuchlag is what's up, Lag?
Hello.
Toomuchlag is a multidisciplinary artist and founder. Known for his fantasy and futuristic works, he explores the dichotomy between light and dark, creating an iconography that blends the dystopian and the celestial. His vibrant work is inspired by literature, cinematography, gaming, and makes use of blockchain-native mechanics to create unique interactive experiences. An example of Toomuchlag's interactive NFTs is Satoshi's coin, an artwork that contains one Bitcoin, which is only retrievable if the owner were to burn the artwork. Toomuchlag has exhibited works in London, New York, Milan, Miami, Los Angeles, Beijing, Las Vegas, Rio de Janeiro, Lugano, and more. Passionate about blockchain technology, art, and storytelling, he constantly challenges existing boundaries to create new narratives. Recently, his work has been auctioned and sold at Christie's, New York. What's up, Lag?
Right.
Thanks for coming on the show.
What is up? What is up? Thank you for having us, man.
Absolutely. And the other half of the L.A.B project, Mauro, a mysterious coder, musician, and wizard, just general wizard, making amazing things happen behind the scenes. What's up, Mauro? Welcome.
What's up? Thank you for having us. What an introduction.
Totally. I know we've been trying to make this happen for a long time, so I'm glad we could finally work it out. Obviously, y'all have been busy, and I have as well. So yeah, I guess just to start off, since we are recording this at like such a crazy time, how are you guys doing? And with everything going on in the crypto market, like things are crazy out there. But do you have just like any reflections about this current moment?
It is. It has been a wild few 48, 72 hours, I would say.
For sure.
Unfortunately, crypto never stops to amaze in its good, but also in its bad. And we see yet another example of misconduct, so to speak, from important individuals and businesses in the space that people rely on, which is never good because especially as a space like crypto, it's a small space. A lot of it is based on trust and like interrelationship between the participants. So it's never good when something like this happens that shakes the fundamentals of like what we're trying to build here.
Totally.
When I say we, obviously me, you, and Mauro are not part of whatever happened in the last 3 days, but in a sense, we are all part of this machine that it's like moving somewhere. And if someone in the machine just pops a tire for fun, then we all have to slow down. And this obviously affects everyone. We were talking about mentioning briefly. This affects people that are close to us, whether in a way or another, and then in consequence, it will affect the project that we are working on. So it's never good. I can say, luckily, my personal involvement in what happened, so like the exchange going dark, it's been minimal. So I didn't suffer particularly uh, life-changing losses, which is always good.
Yeah.
But and also thanks to Mauro being always on the spot as well, that was mitigated. But I know of people that have lost basically their entire
Jesus.
fortune in the last 2 days.
Oh my
So
God.
it's never happy days. I say with a smile, but it's a smile of like complete baffledness and a surprise of like, oh, yet again another disaster. So hopefully the space can recover from this
Yeah,
sooner than we expect.
for sure. Yeah, our hearts go out to, if you're listening to this and you're having some trouble, we our hearts really go out to you. And it's, I mean, there's disclaimers on this stuff for a
Sure.
reason. It's just like such a wild time. I really like your metaphor, Lag, about how someone pops a tire and the entire thing slows down, right? Because like crypto and NFTs are not the same thing, but like very clearly over the
Mm-hmm.
last year we've seen like how much the state of the NFT market, for better or worse, directly impacts like the health and robustness of the NFT market. And not just, we're not talking about prices, but like there's fewer people in the space here than there were a year
Mm-hmm.
ago, like by a lot, right? Like the conversations on discords and on Twitter are like 10 times less than they were a year ago. So I think we've probably just like renewed our crypto winter for another year or something. But anyway,
Without a
yeah,
doubt. Without a doubt.
yeah. Well, thanks for your reflections on that. Let's move on to happier topics and the reason that you guys are here. So I think you guys really burst onto the scene. Well, first with Satoshi's coin, which I made a brief mention of up top. I've got a TikTok video going over kind of the mind game of Satoshi's coin. So if you want to learn more about that, please head over to my TikTok channel and check that out. It's really cool concept and project. But I think you guys really took off when Leanime debuted on Nifty Gateway. And in this podcast, we're not going to go through the whole history of Leanime, but I do just want to briefly go through where we are, because much of what we're talking about today is going to, people are going to need to know where things came from. So quick summary of the Leanime project. So it originally launched on Nifty Gateway. It was an open edition drop of a character walking through the gates of hell. It was wildly successful. It kind of hit right at the peak of the NFT craze. I think over 1,500 editions were sold. And shortly after the drop, you guys revealed that it really wasn't as much of an open edition as everyone thought, because you had coded these extra NFTs to shadow around those open editions. So everyone who bought an open edition also received a separate NFT with generative traits. And the separate NFT we now know as souls. And so that was pretty groundbreaking for the technological wizardry involved there, for creating like two NFTs for the price of one, basically. Also, it really presaged what was to come. You guys actually launched all of that before Bored Ape Yacht Club. So you guys really preceded some of the big trends of the year. So that was pretty amazing. So fast forward from there, I think you guys invested a lot into the project and came up with this phase 2, which was long awaited. Phase 2 added utility and customization to the project, as well as new tokens called spirits, which were also generative and had their own attributes, some of which overlapped with the souls from the original Leanime project. And you introduce this concept of heroes. Heroes are characters that people can create that are merged from one or more souls and spirits. So if people own these souls and spirits, they can use the lab and merge them together into a new NFT. And so heroes is really where the state of the project is right now. They're really groundbreaking NFTs because they add a lot of customization, where we're still in a pretty rudimentary state of NFTs on the blockchain. And you guys have found a way to make these heroes customizable. You can customize the appearance of your hero based on any of its constituent parts. And by combining these tokens, you can actually level up the appearance of your hero. You can have their weapons look more badass the more versions of the weapon you have. So you've really done a lot, and I think that's probably as short as I can get for a summary of the L.A.B project. Is there anything else that you guys want to add in there before we move on?
No, you pretty much covered the core of it. Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah, I think it's a great intro to the project.
Okay, sweet. Oh, thanks for that. I've been working on that for a year and a half as I try to share my enthusiasm with people. Cool. So, with all of that being said, I guess I wanted to toss it over to you guys. What is the state of the project right now, and like what are you guys currently working on and focused on in the L.A.B project's development?
Okay, I'll give you a brief summary of where things are at.
Cool.
One thing I want to say is that you can tell from how long it took you to just intro to the project. That's kind of been one of the main issues of the project. The project is really successful and it's doing great, and I'm glad it is. But as you can tell, it's not an easy project. So it's not like your entry level. I don't know anything about NFTs. Coincidentally, it's been the first NFTs for a lot of people, but in more of a subtle way, where people discover the surface of it and then they slowly dive into the project. But it's not a project that you're meant to absorb and understand in 20 minutes. It's quite complex. There's a lot of components to it. There's a lot of technicality to it. It's really easy to do the stuff that you have to do in the project, but just to understand what you're doing, it takes a little bit of digging and exploring, which is something you've always been passionate about and I've always admired.
Thank you.
But yeah, that was to say that it's a lot harder to market a project like this than your Bored Ape, for example, because Bored Ape, you can just put the ape there and say, oh, this ape is gold, it's worth a lot of money. There you go. Yeah. You know, which is a strong point, because it's really easy to convey. You can go to your brothers and say, hey, look, I have a gold ape, and they'll be like, oh, no way, you have a lot of money, you know. And that makes it a marketing tool that's been exploited over and over. But nothing against the Bored Apes, but it's just it's just a fact. It's like having a punk, and
for sure,
if you have a zombie punk, people are gonna say, oh wow, you're a baller, you know. So that's an element that with the anime is a little bit trickier. Like, you have to know if a hero is like legendary or not. You have to sort of like dig a little bit deeper. But that said, the current status of the project, we are in a phase that is really exciting. We're about to sort of like launch and activate the mechanics related to the experience, which is something you touched about in the intro. So what does it mean? Basically, so far, as you said, we had the original drop of the anime and the phase 2, where we had the spirits and the possibility to combine all the NFTs. So now we have a platform. If you go on the website of the anime, there's a platform that Mauro very skillfully built, that is very complex. It's a marvel of like execution on blockchain tech and coding, and graphically it's also quite fun. So it's super cool. I recommend everyone checking it out. Even if you don't hold the anime, you should still go and check out the platform and the builder we've done, because it's really unique and I haven't seen anything like it. So that one's really, really cool. But basically, through the builder, people so far, just to add to the summary and intro you've made, people that own the anime or the sphere, that are participating in the community, can go on the platform, can go in the builder and play around with the NFTs that they have. So if you have 5 NFTs, you can combine these 5 into one, create these heroes that we talked about just a little bit earlier. And the heroes is basically the new version of the NFT, where your characters has traits, like their clothing, the weapons that you said that can level up, that can be customized and chosen and picked sort of like up to the discretion of the viewer and the user, and tailor it to what they want to do. And based on how many NFTs you hold, which one you hold, which traits do you have, you unlock different possibilities, which is It's pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie.
It is pretty sick.
I'm still super excited about it, and I'll let Mauro explain a little bit more about the technicality of this, how it works. But basically, now we have had a sort of like big weight around this experience. So I'm sure a lot of people in the community are like pitchfork in their hand. Where's the experience? We want to see it. It's been long due. Not gonna lie. We've worked so hard on it, and because it's such a delicate component to the project, because as soon as you add the possibilities to customize further based on a new attribute, you're introducing variables that will affect the project. And since this is an NFT project, there are economics behind it, and some people have spent more than others, and you have to be sort of like careful how you do stuff. You
Totally.
want to keep the value where it should be. You don't want to sort of like introduce random things. There's a lot of like politics and sort of like economics to be thoughtful about. And then combined to that, there's that very technical aspect of how to execute ideas. So we have had a lot of ideas. We faced a lot of technical difficulties. Mauro's had a hard time navigating through these waters, especially because this is like uncharted territory in a way.
Totally.
So a lot of the stuff that Mauro's put together are like first timers. So there's a lot of exploring that needs to be done. But we are at the exciting phase of which I, finger crossed, hope we can go live with this experience system before the end of the year. And that will allow to introduce a lot of stuff that we have in the making, that is like events and ways to use this experience that will end up touching the collaborations and a lot more. So
Sick.
We're in a very exciting phase regarding the technical aspect.
Very cool.
Before I talked about other stuff, maybe Mauro, you want to add something regarding the experience side of it?
More like actually both. I think it's like what we did until now is like building kind of a platform and an experience system that allows us to kind of add more components and more kind of layers to the project faster and make it like more exciting for the holders or for new people getting in. And that part is actually very tricky because you need to consider kind of the technical aspect, but also the kind of how the user interacts with the platform. That, as Stefan said before, it has to be kind of easy to understand, but also like under the hood is really complex.
Totally.
So we had to find ways to kind of combine the two, because like from a technical way you can do a lot, but then if people are not able to kind of build a hero or do all the kind of visual stuff we want them to do easily, it becomes very complex.
Totally.
For people to.
Yeah, and let me, I guess I just want to take a second and make sure that everyone understands what we're talking about when we're talking about experience. So as you said, Lag, as you combine different tokens into a hero, from that moment, your hero starts earning experience points. And I think this is worth explaining because like no other NFT project out there is doing that. All right. So this is a concept from RPGs, obviously, but so this is something that I don't think it's like currently not shown on OpenSea or whatever. We just know that our heroes are currently earning experience, and you haven't yet revealed exactly what that system looks like or how it works. But I guess do you want to talk about at the moment like what we know about experience and what you've already revealed to the community and some of what that will be useful for?
Yeah, so basically you touched a very, very good point, which is it's not visible on OpenSea. This is another aspect that has been sort of like hindering us from a marketing perspective. The fact that the project is not a cookie cutter project where you put it on OpenSea, you have your standard trades, everything is like ready for this standard template that we have in place with NFTs. You'll have like every PFP has the same sort of like background, trade 1, trade 2, trade 3, and that's it. And then you have like your image, and that's about it. Then you have other PFPs or other projects that are pushing a little bit further. So you have like your trades, but then you also have maybe dynamic metadata, so the image can swap, and then other will take a little bit further. We took it way further, way early. So we sort of like jumped a few too many steps from a marketing perspective. So the project, it's really hard to market because it's really hard to make it very quickly absorbed. Because if you look at as I was saying before, if you look at an ape, it's gold, you know it's valuable, then it will be easy to have market around it, because it will be instant. As soon as you see a high selling piece go, people are gonna be like, oh whoa, that wasn't even that rare, and it sold for so much. So it's really easy to create tokenomics around it. When you don't have this, maybe you'll have a high sale in the anime, but people have no idea if that's actually rare or not. So they can gauge, was that a good sale? Was that a bad sale? You know, it's hard to tell.
So what's the marketing around the experience points?
We are now working on basically making it so that from the website where we can actually like show everything that it's in the NFT, especially because we merged all of this NFT into one token. For OpenSea, this is a nightmare. It's really hard to show all the traits and characteristics that are combined into this hero NFT. So we need to make our own custom way to show you what you're buying and
Gotcha.
stuff. So this was an important point. And regarding the experience, which is a very technical aspect of the project, but experience is something that is when you combine all this token into one hero, and you have merged your NFTs, you have your hero NFT that it encompasses everything. It starts to gain experience. For people that have already merged their hero, they're already accumulating experience. So the experience per se is not out yet in a usable form of it, but it's already live. Like the system of accumulation is retroactive. So people are already earning for participating in the project.
Cool.
And what can you do with this experience? Basically, I don't want to be too precise because I want to keep it for release date, but a lot of it is pretty obvious. So the experience allow you to unlock different levels of the hero, because we made a system for which the hero, your typical PFP has a unique pose. The traits changes, but you have either the face looking from the left or the face looking for the right. Some more advanced have like 3D character walking. So there's a lot of variety there, but you usually have a standard one pose for all of them. You very rarely they vary a lot. We did the system where you can actually choose your own pose. So we have 15 poses at the moment, and for every pose, so your hero will change position, we have all the traits available. So that was a major feat we tackled like a year ago, and it was super cool when it actually was live. I've never seen anything like that. So that was really exciting, really hard to pull off, really exciting. But basically, experience allows you to unlock more of these levels. And we have something that we haven't quite used yet, which is one of the most powerful aspects of the project, which is extra layers. So basically, because these images are layered, so every attribute is one layer, we created a system where we can add onto the image constantly. So because you can edit the image yourself based on the traits that you have, when we are going to start releasing collaboration, you'll see the true power of it. Recently, we added, for example, TJO Bleu, the famous blue artwork he put out that went viral, and people were doing collabs and everyone was sharing it as CC0 piece. So it's very used. And TJO is a really good friend. So he was really happy to see me put it in the anime. And basically we added it for the system so that, for example, your background in the anime can be TJO's blue piece, which is super exciting because obviously, as you can foresee, it's really easy to integrate other artists into the project. And when you have experience and then you can use it to sort of like unlock these collaborations, you create a system where people will have very different and unique heroes because you need to choose like sort of like wisely where you spend it. Do you want to get all the collaboration? Do you want to just focus on some collaboration that might be more like harder to get, but maybe it's your favorite artist, etc., etc. So you'll end up with a very different looking hero than someone that choose not to participate in that necessary collaboration, but another one. So there's a lot of really cool stuff coming with the release of the experience itself.
That's awesome. And I want to pick up on something you said there, because this for me, obviously I follow the project really, really closely. And until you mentioned it last week, I was not aware that you had built in the ability, this essentially this like infinite extensibility of your lay anime. And it turns out that like everything that you released, all of the artwork and traits that you released when the heroes came out, that's just your starter pack. And in fact, you've got
Mhm.
like a lot more and like potentially infinite content to come. So you were just talking about how you released a new background that tied in with like a really hot artist and piece right now. So that opens the door for collaborations, which you were alluding to as well. So it turns out
Mhm.
that like people are going to have even more options than we thought. And I just wanted to like take a minute to like, like give you kudos, because like that's really mind blowing to me. Like I think that's amazing. And again, like that's something I haven't heard any other project like even contemplating. So like hats off to you guys for finding a way to implement that. That is really so cool. Um,
So that's where Mauro's technical ability really show and bring a lot of value to the project, where we can, especially having like knowledgeable developer in house rather than projects that have to outsource it, allows for a lot of experimentation like this, where we can really push on stuff that hasn't been done just because we have like the ideas. We can try and figure out a way to make it work. I want to point out that this is really important. These extra layers are visible layers. So because this is very important for collector base, that obviously when you purchase a collectible item, you purchase a certain set of traits. So let's say you have a trait that is, to go back to the apes, but you have the golden skin of the ape. You don't want a possibility that just because someone held an ape for 10 years, all of a sudden they also have a golden skin, and then your golden skin all of a sudden is worth less, right? So the traits, the core traits of the NFT are not changed. So your sword that has a 0.5% chance of being there is still going to be 0.5%. That's not being touched. So the rarity of the traits itself stays where it is. So we're not touching the economical collectible component, but we're touching a visual layer. So you can customize how the background looks, but it's not a trait that goes in a number
cool.
that
Yeah.
affects the price of it. So this was a very like hard and topic that we had to debate a lot, how to find a way to add to the project, give a lot more value to what the people have without diluting the value of the existing components of the project. And that's
Totally.
really hard. It was a really hard solution, and we finally found something that we're really happy with, and we believe is the correct way to bring this forward. So that's why we took our dear time to go through with this, but we're very happy now where things are headed.
Yeah, that's awesome. And thank you for that point. That is a really important one. Yeah, I think you guys like really nailed a great solution to that problem of especially like when you're combining traits, like you want to honor this combined NFT and give it all of the like rarest rarities that all of the components has. So I think the fact that you made it possible to display like whichever traits you want, and sometimes like you can display multiple instances of the same trait. So if it could have like a scythe and like wings. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's super cool. And on that point, because I was wondering about that, what you were just talking about, like how you're adding this new content, but it's not going to touch the on-chain like rarity of the attributes. So you've shown that you can swap out the backgrounds of the characters. Will it be possible theoretically to like switch out a sword for a sword? So you're not like changing like the actual trait, but you might change the way that the sword is displayed on your token.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Okay, okay, that's a
Yeah.
yes. Awesome. All right, that's sick. Cool. So getting back to the experience points, the way you're talking about it, and you may not want to reveal all of this yet, but it sounds like you have to like spend or allocate the experience points. Is that true, or is it something where like once you get a certain level of experience points, it starts to unlock different upgrades?
Oh, this one I'll let Mara answer, but I'll say preemptively, The details of this we'll share when it goes live.
Okay.
Just because we are, everything is there, but I don't want to say anything that is going to go against what we actually release in the final version.
Okay.
Because
sure.
of course of the sort of like economy incentives that are right there, and especially because this is coming out in a few weeks, and it would give you maybe an edge to operate one way or another.
For sure,
and I want to be extremely fair to the community.
For sure.
So basically, to explain that in a very simple way, so experience is a way kind of to reward the people that lock their tokens into their main token. So the more you have there, the more like rare tokens you have into one token, the higher your score, just like the indication of the kind of final rarity of your hero is high. And the higher that number, the more experience you get. So basically
Got it.
the kind of rarest hero you have, the more experience you get.
Okay.
And then you're going to be able to use that experience, which is, well, let's call it like it's a number. It's just like a property of your hero. You're going to be able to use it to get more stuff. And this more stuff could be kind of extra layers, for example.
Cool.
So like the more you had before, like to tie back to the fact that who had a lot before can get more later. It's like if you had a lot, you get a lot of experience, so you have more chances or more kind of experience to get the additional layers, the cooler stuff that will come out later.
Okay.
That's
Gotcha.
basically the simple principle of experience.
Okay, cool. And that has me wondering as I'm thinking about, which parts of this are on chain and which are not. It sounds like experience is not on chain. That's something that you guys are like tracking in a proprietary way. Is that true?
It's up to now, like yes, but it will be on chain on the moment it comes out.
Oh, cool.
Basically, since we're gonna release experience and it's gonna be kind of from the moment people merge, which was like a few months ago, we're gonna have to kind of airdrop the first kind of batch of experience.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, but from that point, it's gonna be on chain, so people will be able to kind of see like how much experience is being accumulated.
That's awesome.
Basically,
that's really cool.
Live.
Awesome. Okay.
We're actually trying, just like you mentioned, to do like as much on chain as possible. Like
Okay.
everything that can be made on chain, and it's not insanely kind of expensive in terms of like ether and gas cost, will stay on chain. And then there is other stuff, like for example, it would be close to impossible to put the high resolution images of the anime on chain.
Yeah.
Because that's like 100 gigabytes or something like that, and that would cost like $1 billion in gas. So that's impossible.
Yeah.
But we're trying to put as much as we can on chain. Like for example, all the trades, all the rarities, the actual numbers are on chain, and from those you can rebuild your hero from the layers. So which keeps it secure, and then the layers are stored on like IPFS, Arweave, and different solutions, so they don't get lost.
Okay. Cool. So when someone is changing like how their Lei Anime displays, obviously they can do that through the Lei Anime art website. Is there a way outside of the website? Is there like an on-chain way that someone can change how their token displays?
Yes, actually the website is only the interface for the smart contract.
Cool.
You could actually interact directly with the smart contract and change kind of the data of your hero, and that will reflect into the new image.
Oh, that's really awesome.
It would actually re-render the image to the new hero. But the website is the easy way to do it.
Okay, so. Yeah. Thank you for building that front-end interface.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Without a website, it would be impossible to kind of figure out how to do it, but it would be possible if you actually want to look into it.
Okay, awesome.
Shout out Omer,
shout out Omer that made that amazing.
He's part of the community too.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, he really did an amazing job on the website, and yeah, especially with the auction around phase 3, like you guys just like totally nailed all of that. So that's awesome. Okay, and then one more thing on Leanime that I wanted to ask you about that you've kind of teased a little bit. You've teased that there is a comic coming. What's the status of that, or what can you say about the comic?
I can say it's coming out soon, and it's fucking epic. I love it. I
Amazing.
showed it to a few people. If you attended the party we threw in London last week, you would have probably seen the sneak peek because I showed it to a few people that were
Oh
there.
shit.
And that's why you need to come to events. And it was no, I'm actually really really stoked about the comic. I read a shit ton of stuff. I love like manga and animes, so I'm a big fan. Obviously love RPG, fantasy, like this is my bread and butter. And I decided to do this comic mostly for me. Like I wanted to make a comic. That's
That's
the
sick.
point. I'm not trying to make anyone happy with this. I want to make a comic. So I was like, this is sick. And then I'm just gonna give it to who deserves it. But to leave it at there. But it's the comic is finished and
Cool.
it's ready to come out. And I love it. There's a good amount of epicness, fantasy, actual comedy, dark humor, and it's purely Toomuchlag. So it's like a mix of the anime and like my core pieces. It's like I wrote the story.
Oh, sick.
It's my way to communicate like what I see in the pieces and stuff, but from a very like easy to digest form of content, which is so I'm excited
That's
about it. Very
amazing.
excited.
Wow. So you did the art and the story.
I did the art. Okay,
Oh,
no,
okay, okay.
100%. I, that's why I'm actually really excited because I can draw for shit. So I hired a comic artist that is a friend of a friend of a friend. So someone that like it's not famous at all.
Yeah.
This guy is called Isidoro. He's got Isidoro. It's an Italian kid, super talented. He's not even doing comics for a living. So I was like, I looked at your stuff. Your work is sick. Do you think you could pull off like a comic with like actual humans in it? Because it does more like landscapes. But I like the energy he had in the drawing because I can draw, but I can judge drawing because I've read so many. So I was like, this is really cool. We kicked it off. He loved the anime, Toomuchlag, like my work, some of my pieces. He loved the story I wrote. Then I sketched out the comic myself, so like how I wanted it, like the different scenes and stuff. I'm not gonna show you my version because it's like literally sticks and rocks. But got super excited. We took way longer than we wanted, but who cares? And I'm super stoked. I can't wait to show you. Like
Oh,
you're
that's
gonna
so
love it.
sick. That's so sick. And so this is gonna be a physical, or how are you
At the
delivering it?
moment, it's gonna be an NFT.
Oh,
I
okay.
do want to make the physical. It did cost me to produce it, so I'm trying to think how I wanna like sort of kick back a little bit to it if I want to do physicals because physicals they're more expensive,
For
especially if I
sure.
do like nice physicals. But
Yeah.
I do want to make physicals because I think like I want to if the community loves it or not irrelevant. I'm gonna keep doing them because it's just I love it and I think if I love it like you guys would like it
Totally.
and if I can keep doing it like every 3 months or something, like have an edition of the comic coming out and develop the story further. I think one day when you have on your desk like those like 25 whatever like proper mangas about like my word, I'll be so awesome. Something you can like pass to my children and be like, this is the journey I took, and it's just fucking awesome. I'm
That's so
excited.
sick. Oh, I can't wait to see it. That sounds amazing. So this kind of gets me to towards the next subject, but one thing that you've started to like clearly build, you've done a lot of the world building around Lei Anime at this point, and you've teased that there are different continents in this world that you're putting together, and you've given a home for each of the pieces that you've released, like into this Lei Anime universe that you're building. What is the status of the Lei Anime world narrative? Like, do you want to give like a setting for the Lei Anime project, or is that something that's still going to be revealed?
So it's hard to like put a setting something so fictional. But what you can see on the website when you go onto like Word and you see like these pieces, like sort of like somewhat places in a general map idea. I want to keep things quite vague because obviously I want to be able to people to interpret it, because some of the pieces are like one-ones where it's just a piece of art. And then, so basically I'm building a ping pong effect between what is like L'Anime with these heroes in the community project and the world and the story that we're building. And with the pieces that I sort of like produce as just art, right? So the anime is obviously art, but like the ones that I sell are self-standing art. So it's a piece of art that I just love it. You put it in your living room if you want, and you enjoy it, or in a gallery. It doesn't have to have a meaning or a context, right? Someone has to look at it and feel whatever they want to feel. But since it's not abstract art where it's purely up to imagination, but there is some kind of content, and it can be a library, a lab, a landscape, a hero. So there is a general sense of like, this is this thing, and rather than something else. I can easily mix the two and create this narrative where I'm able to build a story that has some like geolocation to it, that has some idea of like universe, and this is what I'm trying to do. I sort of like lagged on this aspect in the past. It's something I always wanted to do. Like, I wish I had time to just sit down, write freaking books about it, because I love like lore. The whole Warhammer lore I've read over and over, like the whole Lord of the Rings lore I know like by heart. I recently I've been like diving into like Warhammer lore, which is like fucking long. There's like hundreds of books that are this thick, but I just love it. I love fantasy and storytelling, so this is something I'm bringing into my world with a little bit of freedom. And the comic is sort of like the perfect solution, because the comic allows me to write the story in a summary, but then have someone else work on the actual production of the art.
Cool. Totally.
So it gives a way to create a link between the pieces that I'm creating. And this is why I'm really excited about this new direction. So I'll be adding a lot to what is the world building of L'Anime. I basically hide my one-ones in my work inside L'Anime, right? Because I don't want to say too much like this word, because it feels sort of like imprisoning of my just purely artistic pieces. I don't want a collector to feel like he's buying the library of the world. I want a collector to feel like he's buying a sick piece of art. And then if he's passionate about lore and fantasy and world building and interested in L'Anime, and he has his own character that is part of the story, he can also say, I own the library of the story, you know? So it's this duality of things. I want it to be synergistically positive, not limiting.
Totally.
And this has been really cool, which is why the last piece, Axis Mundi, is the way it is.
Let's talk about Axis Mundi. That was actually where I wanted to go to next. So this was a piece that you released on Super Rare. It depicts, I'll throw it up on screen here, but it depicts this like amazing like tree in the center of a library. Axis Mundi, what is that, like center of the world or axis of the world? The meaning of it?
Yeah, it's like axis of the world. It's basically the tree of the world.
Oh, cool.
Is this idea of having a tree at the center of where the universe originated from.
Oh, sick.
Which is, I thought it was sick.
That is really sick. And I mean, getting more into the concept of the piece. So why is there a library around the tree at the center of the world?
I feel like obviously books are made of paper. Paper has to come from somewhere, right? And that would be the trees. But I also feel like my brain has been completely brainwashed by this idea of like the tree of life, and like tree as this secular being filled with magic that can like give life to fruits and to like literal life, like flowers, but also has roots in the planet, so it's like grounded, and it's like a guardian of the world. I am like heavily passionate about like forest. I've grown up in the middle of the Alps, so I have this like bond with nature that it's hard to sort of like detach myself from. So I do see, I'm not going around kissing trees, but I do see trees as like this amazing thing that we give for granted, but actually trees are like super cool. I look at like bark and I'm like, this is sick. So that it's just a sense of like power and energy that I liked a lot. And then I wanted to do this idea of library where the lore is sort of like guarded and protected. And I love books, as I said before. Like I love reading, I love fantasy books, and I love storytelling. And then this was a perfect idea to create an event for Discord as well for the community, where people could write their own book, write their own story. So the idea here is that everyone that had that hero can, because you can still do it, can write his own story or their own story, and then the story will end up in the library. And that's where like Mauro's skills come into place. We actually put the stories on the chain, and we put them in the actual library as a form of like entertainment art, where through the coding we are physically, digitally, whatever you want to call it, but practically putting the book inside the library. As you can see, the library piece on a contract, that contract becomes the library, the books as NFT are being put onto the library. So it's not just metaphorically, we actually did it.
That's so sick. Yeah.
So it's very, very exciting.
Yeah. And I just want to reiterate that too for anyone who like may not be like tracking you as closely. So you came out with this piece, Axis Mundi, that's for sale on Super Rare. Is it still for sale?
It's still for sale.
Still for sale. Okay, cool.
I haven't promoted it whatsoever.
Okay.
I don't want to put any pressure on that.
Totally. Yeah, the right buyer will come along for sure. So you released this piece, sure. And in like conjunction with the release of this piece, you ran a contest in your Discord for the community to come up with their own lore around their heroes. So you said, write your own story of your hero and submit it, and then you guys chose your favorite, and you sent out some NFTs to your favorite, but everyone who submitted lore was invited to put that into this thing that you call the library. And what you're saying is the library that you're putting together is tied in with this piece that you just released. And so I think that gets to the special feature, the utility of this piece, which is that whoever, well, why don't you say what the utility of this particular piece is?
No, go for it. I want to hear what you were saying.
Okay. All right. So my understanding is that whoever buys and holds Axis Mundi becomes the archivist. So they get this title within the community. And that actually gives them on-chain powers to indirectly influence the project itself. And so they get to turn a switch, and the switch metaphorically opens or closes the door of the library. And when the doors of the library are open, the lore can be submitted on chain and become part of the project. So people are invited to like take their own stories that they're contributing to your universe and make it part of the official on-chain collection of this project. And the archivist can also say doors are closed. Like you can come up with your lore, but like right now you can't make it part of being on-chain. Which is so fucking cool. Like I love that idea so much. Like that's so brilliant. And I know you've referred in the past to, because obviously this is not your only piece that you guys have created with like special utility. And I think you've referred in the past to there being like certain legal concerns about like what power you give people, especially because you guys do have economics, tokenomics essentially going on like within your universe, and you don't want to give people the power to like influence or exploit that. So how did you come up with this particular utility for this piece? What was your thought process behind that?
That's where basically, and I know your podcast is focused about utility, but that's where I sort of like to draw a thin line between what's considered utility by the general public and what I consider utility-ish for Leanime or for my project, for Toomuchlag. So, and especially with Mauro, we've had a back and forth on this, because it's important. It's very important to him. It's very important to me. We share the same vision on this, where utility as an economic form of reward is very interesting, but it's something that is completely different from what can be a utility as a form of art or as a form of entertainment or as a form of participation. So if I, let's say I give you a t-shirt and I say my t-shirt has the utility to change colors, that makes it so that you bought a t-shirt that you can pick your own color from. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has an economic intrinsic value attached to it that is directly correlated. Like from this t-shirt, you can produce another t-shirt for sure every month. That is a different kind of utility.
Right.
So I think that this separation can be confusing, but I think like this is where I want to stick to artistic and entertainment utility. So something that you can do that affects the project itself from an artistic standpoint and a contribution standpoint, and something amazing, but not from an economic standpoint. So I don't want to say, buy my NFTs because it gives you entry into this club where you can meet people and make more money, because that's a financial utility that a lot of other projects offer. Some people will say, buy a Bored Ape, because if you buy a Bored Ape, you can come to Bored Ape Yacht, and then you can talk to other Bored Apes, and then you'll figure out more business, right? I don't want to point finger at Bored Apes, but I'm saying some projects have a strict economically utility. They'll say, buy this, with this you'll farm NFTs and et cetera, which is also why experience is not a token. It's not something that you trade. It's related to the gamification of the project. So it adds to the interactive aspect of the project, adding artistic capabilities to the project rather than something that is strictly financial. So with this piece, it's the same. The utility is something that allows you, the library, it's something that allows you to play within the system of the project, make your mark, affect it, and change the story of it. The example of the library opening and closing, it's pretty obvious. We have some other ideas too. At the moment, that contract is still barely flexible-ish, but and Mauro quoted me on that. But we had some crazy ideas even about it. But some of them we were like, okay, maybe not, maybe that's too much. But we can give a lot of power to the librarian, for example. But we want to keep it in a way that it's entertaining, it's artistic, it's like an art experience. So the utility is strictly related to our project. It doesn't, you don't get a Clone X for having a library, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like necessarily a financial aspect to it, but it's a fun aspect to it, or marking the community. And then like 10 years from now, you'll be able to say, oh, that guy was the librarian for 10 years and no one could write the lore. And then finally, after 10 years, people can now make their mark on the project, you know, like,
totally.
I think it's super fun.
Yeah, it'll be so interesting to see like whoever becomes the librarian, like how they wield that power.
Coincidentally, and I know you wanted to talk about this too. The other piece that is somewhat similar, and I think mirrors this the quickest, is the lab. So the previous super rare piece that was about, for who doesn't know it, it was about a laboratory and that was found by these heroes. There was a whole collection called Redemption that was tied to it. Basically, these figures were looking for this lab around the world in these different landscapes, and eventually they find this lab, and this lab is a one piece that I'm still super in love with. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. I like that piece. It's really symbolic for me. It was minted in a very important period as well. It marked sort of like a turning point. And the lab had this, introduced the idea of making someone the master of the lab. So giving this idea of giving a title, giving a role of someone in the story, you know. If you think about your average game rather than your favorite fantasy book, there are always these figures that you're like, oh, he's the mad scientist, rather than that's the gnome that has magic power, you know, or
totally.
Like the legendary thief. There's always these characters that make the story so compelling, and I want these characters to be actual community members. Then you have a choice. You can collect the piece and say, I love the piece. I don't give a flying F about the community aspect of it. I don't have Twitter. I don't want to engage in this. And the project works smoothly as well. But you have the option on top to say, wait a minute, I am the lab master. Let me have a word in this specific conversation, so it opens a lot of possibilities.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such a cool idea of like making community members actually these like semi-immortal, like mythical titles like within your community. I love that. And I love that like the power that you're giving them is basically to like create color in the world and like add their own like vision to it. I just think that's like such a brilliant way to like integrate like users like into it. And with the lab, so I know you've said that there, like you just said that, there's a title associated, Master of the Lab. Have you revealed what the utility associated with the lab is?
We did
Okay.
like the idea. We did it in private with a person.
Oh, okay. Oh, so they know. So the master knows.
Someone knows.
They know. One thing that was like a little bit of a bummer at the moment. It's no big deal, but one of the sort of like most sort of like key moment for the lab was because the lab in the story is basically where the heroes get created, right?
Yeah.
We had this conversation where if you read the riddles, which probably you're one of the only 5 persons that actually go through all the riddles, but the idea was that in the lab all these souls and spirits get accumulated somehow, and then they get conjured into the heroes inside this lab, right? And then we had like a little sort of like Easter egg of the 3D lab that I made built so that you could explore the actual lab, like roam around, see the inside of it, because in the piece it's seen from outside. And the master of the lab was basically supposed, and it didn't quite happen for unfortunate circumstances, not our side, but we were ready. Mauro was ready technically, so that basically we made it so that the contract that started where the merge actually happened. So when you go on the platform on the website and you actually merge your little character, and it's all a fun experience for you. Mauro had to code for a year. Actually, that works. But on that contract that kickstarts all of it, the master of the lab was the one that was supposed to switch it on. So he and only he could say, okay, now you can merge the heroes. I activated the lab because the lab is all red, and they were supposed to do it. When time came, and due to time restrictions, like we had to go live, we had a lot of pressure. We waited a response. Obviously, we're all human. At that time, the master of the lab wasn't available and was under a lot of business related stuff, so we didn't have the opportunity to do it. They were super excited to do it, but they couldn't get to do it at the time.
Brutal.
But that, for example, would have been a very good case of utility, so that in the records on Mauro's contract, it would have said this guy kick-started all of this, right? So when we're all gonna be in the sand, and our children will look back at this project, they'll be able to say, oh, my grand was the guy who actually started the lab. And people are gonna be like, yo, that's sick, because in the future maybe you'll have your digital flags where you'll say, I'm an OG of the OGs,
Yeah. Oh, that's so sick. What a cool idea.
Stuff like that.
That's
stuff
awesome.
like that.
But that's one of the reasons why we always kind of keep like the role of, like, for example, the master of the lab or librarian very optional. Mm-hmm. It's like you can have the 1-1 and just be like the librarian, kind of as a symbolic title.
Totally.
But also we try to add some functionalities in the smart contract so that if this person wants to kind of do something and kind of collaborate with us to kind of increase the storytelling or artistic part of the project, can do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And on that note, with the librarian, what is actually happening on chain when the librarian is opening and closing the doors of the library?
So on chain, the lore that was written during the event will be stored like fully on chain. So every kind of text will be on the Ethereum
cool.
blockchain. Then hero holders will be able to add more lore if they want to, but they have to do it by themselves, additionally from the contract or the website. And the librarian, what he can do is kind of close the library so no one else can add more lore. Basically, it's the person deciding when the door is open.
That's so
in
sick.
kind of smart contract terms.
So the lore is actually going like itself on chain.
Yeah. The lore will be stored in a permanent way on chain.
Okay. Is it
It's
stored like separately, like on Arweave or?
no, it's actually on chain because
That's crazy.
yeah, saving text is way cheaper than saving kind of images.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
decided to go on chain for text,
Oh my God,
mainly
that's
for
so
like
sick.
the origin lore, which is the lore that you guys wrote during the event.
Okay, cool. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Cool. All right, cool. There was another project, Mauro. This is one that you developed. It's called Aleph, and it's a really unique NFT project. Can you speak to what Aleph is?
So Aleph was basically an on-chain experiment I was doing, and I wanted to find a new way to distribute NFTs because usually uh, you distribute NFTs by like selling them or doing like an open edition or a free mint.
Right.
And my idea was to do like an NFT that you can kind of send to your friends, and each copy creates a new copy of it. So a bit like a kind of self-replicating mechanism.
Cool.
And that was like the first phase of the project. And the idea is like I minted the NFT into my wallet, and then I sent it to a couple of friends, which was in
Mm-hmm.
this case Toomuchlag and Habana,
Mm-hmm.
and they would send it to friends or collectors they thought could like it,
Cool.
and that's basically what happened.
And how many? Do you
And
know how many generations of it were created in that way?
yeah, there were actually 71 of them,
Okay. So 71
and
total.
one of the twisted 71 total. Yeah,
Okay.
starting from mine. Which is pretty good. I was expecting between like 50 and 200, so that
Okay.
was good.
Cool.
And the idea was like it wasn't an infinite project, but it was like if someone found out the way to stop this mechanism, could kind of stop, put a limit to the supply, which in this case 72. And to stop this mechanism, you had to burn your own copy.
Okay.
And someone did it. Someone actually sent it to a wallet and then burned the copy to a different wallet.
Oh,
And
okay.
at that point,
Okay. Cool.
that was Mars. Yeah,
I
that
was
was a
gonna
good
say, yeah,
choice.
yeah. You can't keep it if you're gonna burn it. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Because another restriction was that you can only have one per wallet. Because I just wanted to have
Got it.
send one to each person and keep it kind of limited. So that happened, and now it's this kind of phase of the project is done. But that was just only an experiment to distribute NFTs in a different way.
Cool.
Well, what happened now is that now everyone has has the same NFT basically with the same image. But each NFT is basically a different edition, and that will change in the future to something else
Oh, cool.
that I will do.
Okay. All right.
And
So keeping
but I
some
don't really
cards
want to
on.
relieve what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool. So basically, did the person just have to read the smart contract and figure out that the burn mechanism was the way to stop it?
I've been asked, and then I gave some hints, and they
Oh,
figured
okay.
it out.
Okay.
You have to
Okay. Cool.
you have to sacrifice it and to this address, and they figured it out. Okay, I need to
Oh,
burn it.
okay.
So
Cool. And are they transferable? Can you sell them now like a normal NFT?
right now, yes, they're a normal NFT. It's basically an edition of 72
Okay.
that is not in its final stage. Because
Okay.
basically everything of that is on chain, even the image is generated from the chain.
Oh, cool.
And the actual generator is a different smart contract. So
Oh,
what I
okay.
can do to change it is like limitless, basically.
Oh, cool.
That will allow me to do some fun stuff. with it.
Cool. That's a really cool idea for like an alternative way to create an NFT. It's kind of like tracing organic networks in a way, right? That's pretty
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. That was the whole idea. I wanted like the NFT to go to friends and to their friends who, or like good collectors they think uh,
Yeah,
basically deserve a free NFT.
that's awesome.
And yeah.
Cool. All right. Cool. So, as we move along here, I just wanted to ask you guys some general questions on kind of like the state of the market right now. What's your perspective on the PFP craze, the profile pic kind of thing, the whole avatar NFTs? It seems like that has finally sort of like died down, and people have gotten a little bit tired of that format. What's your perspective on like the reign of that as the dominant format, and also why didn't Lei Anime kind of hit that nerve in the same way that some of the other ones did? Even though, I mean, obviously it wasn't a PFP project, but it did have a lot of similar traits, so to speak, including generative traits through the souls.
Yeah, so I'll touch that first because it's I said it before at the beginning. I think like we didn't hit that nerve of like massive people run essentially because the project is so complicated that it wasn't approachable from a novice. So
Gotcha.
the if you can trade and understand the NFT in like a split second and be like, okay, cool glasses, worth a lot, I buy. If
Right.
it's not like that, it doesn't work in this economy. In that economy, it didn't work. But also why sort of like Leanime as a diamond hand crazy collector a pool where we have a floor that the floor of the floor is not that high on like spirits right now. It's not doing good. It's anything else. Not like nothing is doing good right now. But if you go past the liquidating floor after like 30 NFTs, it just jumps like skyrockets to insane high prices. And I think the total supply available is like 0.4% or something like that,
Wow.
0.5%, or something like that. It's like extremely, extremely low. So most of the project is just not even listed on sale. People just
Wow.
have it. So the project is super strong. The floor is just an indication of people have to sell. A lot of people are losing their house right now. So
Yeah.
I don't expect this not to happen. And but we didn't hit sort of like those massive volumes on the second rendition of the collection with the spirits and stuff because of the complication of like how hard to understand what's in the token is. And on that part, we are guilty of being like we were too slow. We underestimated how complex it would be to sort of digest, which is something we're working now on simplifying. But it's a two-man team on this, and it takes like hundreds of millions of dollars on other projects to be like marketable. We don't have that, and we only have four hands. So we did our best. We are doing our best, and I think in the long run we have a lot more chances than 99% of the projects you're referring about to be doing way better than them. Because I really believe in what we're building, and we're building like stuff that is really cool. But the PFP craze, like as you said, and I'm happy you said it's finally dying down, which is funny enough. We should be sort of like happy of the opposite. But in a way, people that are participant of the NFT community as a whole are kind of like over this PFP craze because it's been so exploited and washed out. It literally took everything from what was good in the space and just crunched into like a sort of like McDonald's burger. Take
Yeah.
it, it's gonna pump. If it doesn't pump, dump it, move to
Right.
the next. And it's
Right.
just this machine of like I call them Fiverr projects, but it's like people just buying something. Oh, is it hot? It's not hot. Okay, next. But they don't give a flying F about that project. So
Right.
if it goes really well and then it pumps, then it sort of like passes that threshold of okay, now it's a good project and it's cool to have it. Cool, but for that project, a lot of projects didn't make it, and it's just another PFP with no other cool stuff behind
Yeah.
it. So why is it even worth that much? And I think a lot of those and we've seen a lot of examples, I'm not going to make names, that people are like, oh, this is a cool project, just because it pumped a lot and it had a lot of volume, and now it's worth absolutely zero. So I think it's good that this is dying down a lot, or somewhat getting filtered, because it gives more space to the actual artists that are putting a lot of effort into renovating and doing cool stuff. You don't have to push innovation all the time, but I love artists that are like trying to keep their voice, even if their voice is not trending. They just stick to what they want to bring to the space, what they want to communicate, and eventually find public that is now no longer distracted by the PFP. So I'm kind of honestly happy about it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and you know, I think obviously like there's nothing wrong with like a format in itself, but I think what you're mentioning is that like it just got exploited to levels that were like absolutely ridiculous. And obviously still some people like still love to use like a PFP, but I mean part of the problem with the whole concept is that like you can only use one at a time, and like everyone who's in this space like has loyalties to like so many different artists and so many different projects that like it just felt you know, inevitable that like that fascination would fall apart. I'm also excited that that's kind of like over, and we can see, you know, what are the next things that are going to emerge. And actually that was my next question here is like, what are some trends that you're seeing in the NFT space that are really exciting and interesting to you right now? And it is a time when like the market is so not just the market, you know, that sounds so like economical, but the whole space is so kind of like deflated right now, and people don't have the money to experiment or to like, you know, buy some things that, you know, are just kind of like fun. So it's definitely a weird time in the space, but I guess that's why I'm so interested in like, you know, what is going on right now that you guys like see value and interest in.
I like, for me, unless you might want to go first, for me, a lot of the inspiration and excitement right now comes from like just artist itself, and like purely like more from an artistic standpoint that anything like sort of like technically financial at this point, because we've seen it all. We've seen staking, we've seen artists doing like, not necessarily artists, but like projects trying to do whatever it takes to sort of like, how do you say, oh god, I missed the word now, instill hope in like, hey, hold this because you'll get that, whether it's a t-shirt, whether it's an entry to a club, whether it's some kind of one dinner. Like people are taking whatever they can to give the NFT itself value, because it's built on reward. So we have this reward system that it, for me now, falls in a completely other category. So from the moment you say, if you have this NFT, I'm rewarding you this, and that is your core selling point, then the NFT could be a black dot, and it doesn't matter what it looks like, because you're just selling me a ticket that it's a membership club. So now I'm a member of this club. I don't care what my ticket looks like. I just want my shoes at the end of the month. So that doesn't excite me at all whatsoever, because it could be anything. You could get your favorite rock star playing for you in your house. It still does not excite me, because then I would pursue that. I wouldn't want to buy the NFT. The NFT itself is just a token. So that for me it's never been exciting, which is why I kept from making Le Anime like that. So we had this community. I could have pushed so much. I have the opportunity to do a lot of stuff like this, but I didn't believe in it, so I didn't do it in the long run. A lot of people might have preferred it maybe, because in the short term would have pumped a lot, but that's not who I am. So I haven't done it, and I'm not gonna do it. But what excites me is like, especially now in a bear market, and since there's less sort of like hype about projects around, a lot of people are experimenting with like new styles, or they're trying new things, and they do it without the fear of like, oh, I shouldn't be wasting time on this because the hot topic is this. Now I need to do a PFP. I need to, you know, everyone is doing the same thing. But right now, who is left? Because a lot of people have left. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of artists have dipped. A lot of projects have dipped. A lot of collectors have dipped. So who is left in the space is trying to build something for when the next bull run will come, or they are trying to experiment with something they are passionate about, because there's no money anyway. You might as well just do something you have fun with, you know?
Right.
So especially from behind the doors, where like, obviously I'm an artist. I'm connected to a lot of artists in the space, so I see what they're working on before it's out. And I can tell a lot of my friends are working on a lot of sick projects that I am super excited about, and I can't wait for them to release it, because some of these are super sick. And they're way longer projects than they might have been before, because they have now the time to work on it, which is the same that we are doing in a way.
Totally. Yeah, I guess the down market really gives people time to, like, you don't have to answer to like hordes of people on Twitter and Discord, like, when utility, when whatever, so yeah, that's cool. What about you, Mauro? Do you
And I
see
think,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, like just to add to this, like when we started, we were like in a down market as well. We started doing NFTs like in 2020. It was actually just started to pump again after the long bear market. And in there, like we had way more time to experiment and do like cool stuff, learn how actually the blockchain works, and do coding and art together. And that was the fun way to do it. And I see more and more people now that like who's left is basically like we did before, like more people did before. They're learning kind of the crypto side of NFTs and try to integrate more and more kind of blockchain tricks and technology into their art. That's something kind of excites me, and
Yeah. Have
I'm
you
pretty sure
seen?
we'll see a lot of that.
Go ahead.
And I'm pretty sure we'll see a lot of that coming in the next like months or years,
Oh,
depending
okay.
on how long.
Okay. Have you seen any particular projects that come to mind that are doing like some really interesting things?
Um, yes, I think like if I had to name like the simplest inspiration now, I like a lot like what Theo is doing. Obviously, a lot of it is not out, but very, very cool.
Who's that?
Theocious.
Oh, Feywo, yeah.
Theo, yeah, I like what that's going. Thank you X is doing a really cool project now, the state of the art.
Oh,
That's gonna
sick.
be sick. I'm a sucker for 10K, so like I love whatever he does. ACK, he's I should say they, just in general, they are doing a lot of random shit that I like for example, not respecting the collectors or just saying A and then doing B. I like this chaos. I like this idea that we started sort of like creating these boxes where artists would fit. Oh, you're a PFP person. Oh, you're a this style artist, and it sort of like became so strong all of a sudden that people started changing what they were doing to pursue like sales. But now that there are no sales, people are really fucking around with the blockchain. Like I bought an edition from ACK, and then I wake up the next day and the NFT is completely different. I'm like, I've been rugged. But then it becomes part of a project, then it changes again, and then it's like it's so much fun. So that was cool. I like obviously what Fakrand is doing with Lucidia. Insane team they put together. The staking of the like all these NFTs so that you can like create stars. Super sick. The staking is nothing new, but I like his team. I like that you can create stars, and he's obviously like fascinated by the universe and this planet is super sick. It fits his vibe so perfectly. That's really cool. I like what Claire is doing with AI. Claire Silver.
Claire Silver, okay.
Fucking legend, and their art is insane. And there's a lot more AI artists out there. I don't want to even open the door of AI in this conversation because we already talked for like 2 hours. But AI is obviously insane, massive next topic. And Nahiko to be more like smart contract, like discussion oriented. Nahiko is doing a lot of fun stuff. With this like like live stream of the blockchain, and all these projects are always really, really fun and quirky. And I like, obviously I'm obsessed with Andrea Chiampo, which is a completely different approach. Insane dark style, and he's working on a big release that is coming out soon, of which I'm not gonna say anything, but absolutely dope. So
awesome. Great.
Cool. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, what Andrea is doing is like, it's very sick. I'm super excited about it. Like as an artist, is insane.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, can't wait to hear more about it. Yeah, and what about you, Mauro? Who are there any artists like in the space who are like really inspiring you right now, or who like people should go check out?
So all the names that I just said were on my list actually.
Okay.
So like I really like the Lucidia kind of project, and what Procrender is doing, because it's creating like a whole ecosystem.
Cool.
And to stay on that line of projects, like other like huge projects like the Aku project or the Artifacts project, they're all creating something with
Artifacts,
different
yeah.
artists, and they branch out in different ways. They go like from films to comics to videos, and they look like very solid projects. They were like very experienced people that are doing very cool stuff with the community. Same as like some games that will probably, or kind of game related NFTs that will come out in the future, like NF3s from Pify.
Oh,
Like
NFTs, yeah.
yeah, it came out like the initial idea a couple of years ago, and it's been working on it for a long time. Kind of everything is under the wrap, so I'm very excited about that and see what's gonna happen.
Sick.
The Nahiko project as well. It just did a project called Entropy, that it's basically mostly fully on chain and is streaming. Basically, the image is created by the data included in a block in the blockchain, which makes it kind of a full kind of crypto project.
Oh, cool. And
So
what
I'm
was the name of that
like
project?
Entropy
Oh,
by
Entropy.
Nahiko.
Nahiko. Okay.
Uh,
Cool.
all the stuff he made is very kind of quirky and blockchain based, so you should definitely check him out.
Okay, awesome.
And what else was cool lately? Oh, Slime Sandy as well.
Oh,
They
yeah,
did like this.
totally.
Yeah. That was a very fun and cool project.
Yeah, another one where you can
Similar
Shout
like
out
in
my
style.
boy.
combine.
Yeah.
Shout out my
Similar to
boy,
the
Slime
anime style,
Sandy.
that you can build your own stuff, but with his own style, because like he does like kind of collage in real life, and it was cool to be him for a few minutes when we did the project.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, get to use his palette, as it were.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Actually,
Great.
still haven't minted the final thing. I spent
Oh.
probably 1 hour doing mine, but I still have to finish it. Yes, I have to do it.
It's a lot of pressure. I mean, it took me like weeks to mint my first hero because I was like, I want to make sure like it gets, it looks good. It's perfect.
Yeah. Like, actually, when I was testing the heroes and the builder, I spent like countless hours to
Oh, sick.
just build the random ones.
Yeah, I bet. Cool. All right. Now we're gonna end everything with a simple little game. It's called Gonna Make It or Not Gonna Make It, and in one or two sentences, that's it. One or two sentences. I'm gonna say something, and let me know if you think that thing is gonna make it or not gonna make it. All right.
Hmm.
All right. We're gonna start with Twitter post Elon Musk. And you don't both necessarily have to answer. Like either one of you can take it.
Gonna make it.
Gonna make it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
gotta make it.
Okay, gonna make it. Okay.
I hope so.
You're what?
Yeah.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Instagram integrating NFTs.
Not gonna make it.
Might make it.
Okay. All
It's
right.
hard.
Meta's vision of the metaverse. So Mark Zuckerberg's vision of the metaverse.
Gonna make it.
Gonna make it too.
Okay. The metaverse generally.
Gonna make it.
Gonna make it. I think we already live in the metaverse.
Yeah, this is true. That's what Meta guy said on the last podcast too. He was like, "It's already here, guys."
Yeah.
All right, and the last one is play to earn gaming.
Tough. I think this one is a very good question that we can talk about for like a week.
Yeah. Some are gonna make it.
You're gonna make it.
Some
are gonna
iterations of play to earn.
I hope Lupify is gonna make it because I love them, but I think long term. This is where a lot of questions, and so we can conclude on this. This is where a lot of questions I give the same answer, and I sort of like came to this conclusion like just recently. but it's so key, because a lot of people were asking me about AI recently, and the AI conversation keeps coming up. Whether you go to the gym, to the barber, anyone is talking about AI. I will replace people. Artists are gonna have to learn how to work with AI. But what we don't really understand is, like, 20 years ago, we didn't even have fucking like mobile phones or computers. So like talking about the future in like 10 years, and like we're talking about pay to earn, play to earn games, but in 10 years we might be inside a video game as our life. So it's not going to be play to earn game, it's going to be life. So it's so like our acceleration technologically is so insane that a lot of the stuff that we talk about, like PFPs as like an image, it's not going to exist. Like, you're going to be yourself, and you're going to be your avatar, and you're going to be tokenized in a way on maybe not even on a chain, on like some sort of like not even physical matter, you know. Like, I think our evolution is so fast that we are underestimated. And especially with the advent of AI, a lot of the stuff that people are building right now that takes years to build will just completely be jumped off by something that is completely cooler and completely cut out. That portion of stuff will disappear and be irrelevant. So it's really, really hard. So play to earn games, gonna make it. Yeah, let's say video games will make it.
for a while at least.
Games will make it.
Yeah. I mean, that's so true. I mean, just like, yeah, with the pace of all sorts of advancements, like, I mean, you think about like right now some of the biggest technology companies, or the biggest companies in the world, but like Uber, Airbnb, like these things were not possible before the smartphone, and until like the smartphone got to a place and the internet got to a place, and now all of that, I mean, it's converging so fast. And yeah, on episode 1 of the podcast, Metageist spoke at length about you know, the implications of AI, you know, on the creative industries as well, which so far have really like escaped a lot of disruption, except for like getting better and better tools. So it'll be interesting. So
interesting, cool. For sure.
Yeah, thanks for your thoughts on that. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for being so generous with your time, and for talking about so many like really fascinating and important topics. So really appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank you, man. Good luck. Good luck editing this. Good luck editing this.
Thank you. Yeah. I will take that.
Thank you for having us.
For sure. And where do you want to direct people who want to learn more about yourselves and the projects you're working on?
I think they should either go to Toomuchlag.com, which is a new website I just uploaded. It's literally as clean as it gets. There's all the info there, all the links. Or from my Twitter, they can get to the anime website. They can get to our Discord. They can find literally everything about me and about Mauro too. How
about you, Mauro?
Yeah, just go like on Le Anime Twitter, Toomuchlag Twitter, or our Discord, and from there you can find us and even talk to us.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening as well. If you liked the episode, please subscribe, like, share it with a friend. Honestly, the share means most to me. Find something cool that you found in the episode and start a conversation. I think that's the best kind of stuff. But if you want to leave a review too, that would help as well. And you can find all of my stuff under Niftyist. So that is the handle for everything. Thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you again soon. See you in the Discord. Thank you so much, buddy. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks a lot.